Welcome back to the DNA Pest Control Podcast with your host, Daniel.
And your other host, Aaron.
There we go.
We're working on the intro.
We're working on it.
That's okay.
We get it. So today we're going to cover a few different things because I think a lot of companies out there with the owners, even new guys that are starting their company, they don't understand maybe where to go or how to do certain things or maybe the direction they should take. And so I think this was a good one because this made me think a lot of, well, I'll just tell the story. Okay.
Let's hear it.
I mean, I might as well.
Yeah.
So I had a unique experience. I had the guy who actually is just right in front of our office building. He actually called our office a year ago, asking to buy us, things like that. He was talking to the secretary, he wasn't talking to me. He wanted to buy the company. Well, fast forward about a year and a half, we finally got to sit down and talk. And he wanted to meet up because he started his own pest control company.
Sure.
And while we were sitting there talking, I was pulling a lot from the conversation. I was expecting him to say, hey, I want to buy you out. He didn't get to that point, which was cool, because I would have said no anyway.
Yeah.
There wasn't a purpose for me to actually even sell it to him, especially the direction we're going, the goals we have. It'd be stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it made me reflect on the conversation that we were having because I allowed him to open up and really just kind of pour a lot of his frustrations out to me.
That's smart.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my place to really tell him a lot of stuff because I didn't have anything to say to him.
Yeah.
I didn't really care to meet with him. I mean, it's good to have those contacts, but I didn't care to sit there and talk to him.
Yeah.
That was not my purpose. My purpose here is I'm looking at our company, where it's going. That's what I want. I didn't care outside things. But anyway, so he was going through, he's in the solar industry, and solar moves very, very quickly. There's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs. It's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
And for him, he's looking at that fast pace. There's big money jobs. You do a $200,000 job here, and then the next week you may only be doing like a $2,000 job. So there's massive swings in what you're doing and where you're doing it and how you're doing it.
Yeah.
And in his company, and he's not the owner anymore, he sold out, but he grew really, really quickly.
Sure.
And I think he actually got lucky, or he may have had to sell, which I didn't think about it until after, because they grow so much and then they squeeze everything, that I think he may have gotten lucky to sell, or he actually would have tanked.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those solar companies actually go bankrupt.
I can see it.
And I mean, there's a lot of stories with it. Krispy Kreme, Starbucks, they did it. They grew too fast, and they almost went bankrupt. All of them.
Yeah.
So there's controlled growth, which people don't understand. You can only grow so fast unless you have a massive backing behind you. And massive backing is backing of money.
There it is.
So we were talking. He was very frustrated with the slow, steady progress of a pest control company. He was expecting to go from 0 to 100 million tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work that way. Okay. It's not going to be that fast pace. There's not really this job that you're going to go do in the pest control world that's going to get you $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. You will have that with solar, because you're going to be buying probably $100,000 worth of solar panels with some businesses.
Yeah.
Quick example. If people are thinking, well, that's so weird, like how could they do that? Well, if you are in Orlando and you pull up Disney World, you will see solar panels in the shape of Mickey Mouse. Okay. There's probably thousands of solar panels in the shape of Mickey Mouse to provide power to Disney World, just so you know. So that's how you do a $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 job, or even $1 million solar job. So there's money there.
Crazy.
It's pretty crazy that they would spend the money to do that, but they did. So that's how it can fluctuate. So when he stepped into the pest control world, the brakes were pressed pretty hard.
Yeah.
He couldn't go as fast as he wanted to. Also, I don't know how much money he actually wants to throw at this thing. Because a lot of people, they get that money and they go, I want to put $1, but I want to see 1,000. Well, once again, it doesn't work that way. And you're not going to see that 1,000 tomorrow.
Yeah.
You put in $1, maybe it's 20 years from now, you get that 1,000 back. That's the idea. But he's not used to that. So while we were sitting there and talking, I asked him, well, what does your company do? Do you have commercial accounts? Kind of trying to see where his company's at. And he said, no. We don't do anything but pest control. We want it very simple. I got some 60-year-old dude who's the technician. We want to keep it very, very basic, very simple. We don't want to really step outside of what we're doing, which is residential homes.
Yeah.
And that got me to think, because that's how we were when I took over the company. We were really single-minded.
Sure.
This is where we're going, and that's it. We didn't have anything else. So it was residential homes, general pest, done. You have rats? Cool. We got some bait stations we'll throw out.
Good luck.
Yeah, you got bed bugs? Unfortunately, we don't do bed bugs. Go find someone else. You have cockroaches? We can spray heavy.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea behind it. But my brother-in-law at the time didn't want to really move and look in any other direction. It was very single-minded, simple as possible. Don't do anything else. And once I got it, it was like the chains were released, I was free. And so now it was like, okay, I can now get into everything I've wanted to get into and what I'm interested in, not what we had to do. And so that's today. That is what we're going to be talking about today, is really diversity, in my opinion, might be the key to, to success, but I really put on there easy success. Because I think people restrict themselves to doing that general pest, and they don't know that there's so much more there. But we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And we're going to jump into it. So we want to talk about the pros and the cons of keeping a pest control company simple or complex or diverse.
Sure.
Right? So we wanted to start with the simple side. What were some of the cons that you thought up, Aaron?
On keeping it simple, obviously the missed opportunity there, trying to stay away from the pros too much. But if all you're doing is spraying inside, outside, residential houses only, you're literally driving past tons and tons of opportunity and money, just leaving on the table, right?
Yeah.
Like when you took over, you said that they weren't doing stuff with rodents or cockroaches, bed bugs, anything specialty like that. And that's just, and I guess it depends where your goals are aligned at, because if you were obviously trying to grow into something that interests you, right, that probably wasn't there before, right? So it's hard to push that when that growth mindset isn't present,
Yeah, no, I think that is there too. But and it's not that you can't, I guess the growth mindset, it's not that it's not there. I think it's just somewhere else, and focus on different things.
Okay.
Which we're going to talk once we get into other subjects. We'll actually hit on that too.
Yeah.
Another one that I put on there is, we talked about being restricted, but the possibility of losing a lot of clients because you only do ants, spiders, earwigs, silverfish, the basic pest that when someone does say, hey, I have bed bugs, and I show up, you don't want me to show up to your customer's house. I'm going to tell everybody that right now.
Exactly.
Don't use me for one of your pests, your specialty pests, because I'm going to take them from you.
Yeah.
We're not going to have that good relationship. And it's not because I hate you, but it's because it's business. And I'm going to try to sell them on pest control services. I just did it to another company.
Yeah.
She's going to cancel their service and probably go with us because we're going to do her rodent work. So, that was kind of the big thing is I went in there because that company didn't have, anybody who would do rodents, and they don't do rodents. They keep it very, very simple. And
That's
so I came
crazy to
in,
me.
I sold it, for, I think it was like $1,000 or close to $1,000, $600, $700. But we're also going to get her contract on to do her pest control service.
That's right.
So, you just have that. Not only did we make, a couple $100, almost $1,000 on it, but now we just added a whole contract in there as well to be servicing her pests that I just pulled away from a company. So they just lost that money and they just lost a customer.
Yeah. And obviously the conversation and the relationship was built that's a lifer, somebody to reach out to another pest control company and switch their regular services to us. There's obviously a lot of satisfaction there.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of customers tell me too, when I go to places, is why would I, do you guys do pest control? Even if I don't say it, they'll say, do you do regular services as well? And I'm like, yeah, of course we do. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, I might as well just switch over to you guys because you guys can do it all. And they've said that to me.
Yeah.
I didn't say that to them. I didn't bring it up. They literally will tell me before I can tell them.
Yeah.
So they're already thinking in the future of, I just want to get rid of them because if I end up having another issue in the future, I would prefer just to have one company come out and take care of it.
Exactly.
And so I think we hit all the cons, right?
It's boring. It's another one.
Oh yeah. You can't get bored.
It's extremely boring if you were just going to house every day, all day, each week, each month. It's at least in my opinion, I couldn't do that.
Well, actually, I had a guy I was looking at buying, and that's exactly what happened. He was working for another company. He broke off of them. He said, I can start my own company. This is easy. Started his own company. 6 years later, he was bored. He was done. He wanted to move. He wanted to get out. He was done in the pest control industry. There was just nothing there for him.
Yeah.
Because he assumed I can do this on my own. I'm going to just start a company. I'm going to be doing just the general pest stuff. I don't do any. And I even asked him, do you do any of this? No, we don't. Do you do any of that? Well, we throw bait up there.
Oh, it's painful.
That was it. But it's the fear of failing too on their part. So they don't want to do it because they don't know how to and they're uncomfortable. But anyway, so he ended up selling off and moving, and his business is dead now because he didn't want to do anything else and he got bored. Now, but I will say there's pros to it.
Let's hear some.
You want to hear some pros? Okay. Well, if you go in the mentality of In-N-Out.
Okay.
In-N-Out's a great example.
Perfect.
How many menu items are on In-N-Out? And if you don't know what In-N-Out, that's like what California is famous for. So Google it.
Yeah. Burgers are good.
Burgers
Fries,
are good. Yeah. But honestly, how many choices do you have? What's literally your menu?
I'm pretty sure the main menu is 3 items.
That's your meals.
And then even with the sides, the drinks, it's 10.
Unless you go on secret menu.
Yeah.
They do have a secret menu.
Yeah.
But if you go just the regular menu, you literally have a burger that you can choose from.
Yeah.
That's it. They do not have any different styles of burgers. You can get a double, triple, quadruple, and on up. Probably up to 100 patties if you wanted to on a burger.
Yeah.
That's it. And then you can kind of remove toppings because they have their lettuce and onion and cheese.
Yeah.
Or you could not have that on there. Oh, they have grilled onions instead of just regular onions.
Way better.
Yeah. And then they have fries and a shake. And I think it's chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry.
That's right.
It's literally it. That's everything they have. Very, very simple. Now, and I will say that's the cool thing though. They've created something so simple and it's the exact same thing. Now this is food, so it's a little bit different than a service. But they got something so easy, so simple that they could literally grab anyone and train them. So they can train anyone. You don't have to memorize. I mean, what are you going to memorize?
Yeah.
The single, the double, the triple.
People already have it memorized that don't even work there.
You could go there once and memorize it. So it's super easy to train, and that would be the same concept on the technician side.
Yeah.
You could get a tech in, show them how to spray a house, show them how to do the inside. Any specialty pests, cockroaches, bed bugs, we don't do. So the guy doesn't even need to know what they are, how to do it, what to do. It doesn't matter. It's call a professional.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah, call someone who actually knows this. But it is easy to control. You have a lot of control over that because there is nothing that you have to control, right?
It's so one dimensional. Yeah.
Just like In-N-Out. We buy hamburger patties, buns, cheese, and lettuce and onions. That's it. We don't need to buy anything else.
That's true. You think of like a McDonald's, it has like, the fish fillet and the nuggets and like, the toys and all this stuff, this extra stuff. And I'm not saying it's complicated, but when you just look at it side by side, it's like, what's easier running it? You know what I mean? Obviously, In-N-Out.
Oh, 100%. It's going to be so simplistic and your orders are going to be so easy. It's like, we need 1,000 pounds of cheese. That's it. They're like, do you need shredded? Do you need this? Do you need it? No, they don't even use shredded cheese on their fries when you do like the animal style. It's literally, they throw on the same freaking slab cheese, just here's a slice of cheese on there.
Yeah.
Throw it in the microwave, let it melt. Like that's literally what they do.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to control. You don't need a lot behind it. It's very simplistic. The other cool thing is it's easy to copy and paste.
True.
So you get into the next office. Once again, it's like In-N-Out. You throw up another building. It's really easy. Your menu's the same. Everything's the same. There's no changes there. So it's just an easy copy and paste to the next thing.
Right.
Now this last one is actually, it's going to be controversial because as a salesman myself and as you as a salesman, we can say that's easy to sell.
Sure.
But it is.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's easy to train a salesman. You have one option. That's it. There is nothing else.
Yeah.
You're literally pushing one product. That's it.
Yeah.
You're not Coca-Cola. You don't got 70 different product lines. You are signing someone up for pest control. That's it. So it's easy.
Yeah. That's a good point too. Easy to train, easy to implement, execute.
Yeah. And before we get into, moving past that is because we'll talk about it too, because I think having more options is also an easy way to sell. Because now you can give them different options or more things or less things or focus on a certain pest and not that pest. So for me, that's easy too, but when you're looking at that simplistic, setup, and we talk about the cons and the pros, and I personally say there's more cons on being simple than actually being more diverse.
Oh, definitely.
But being simple can get you to a point where you can start to be diverse. That's how we did it.
Yeah.
I wasn't in charge of it, but before I was, that's exactly what got us to the point to where I could take over and then we could be diverse because we had a little bit more freedom. So if you're starting and you're looking at just the simplistic side of it because you only know how to run a route, maybe start with that first.
Yeah.
Build up a clientele and then step into the game of rodents because now you have a whole clientele base that you can start, start using that on and practicing.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about being more diverse, right? I mean, there's a lot of cons to that. The one is a learning curve. You can talk about that. What's been a con for you with the learning curve? Because you came in with no experience.
Not at all.
Not just general pest, but it's like, oh, hey, by the way, here's our pest control for a resident, but we also have 3 options and this and that. And now we can do this and now we can do that. And now we can do that. I mean, what was that learning curve for you and the con behind that?
Yeah. And I just trying to keep it strictly cons before we go back and forth. I wanted to make sure that I came from a place that I knew I was talking about.
Yeah.
Right. So that learning curve, and at least it made my confidence, that at least the confidence curve as well, making sure that I was at a place where I felt comfortable enough to speak from an educated standpoint. You know what I mean? And another thing too, with us doing now so many different things, which is great. It's like,
losing it.
little bit, a little bit. I'm trying to figure out how I want to word it because I'm trying to make it so it's not a positive, even though it is a positive.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, we'll come back.
Yeah, let me get back to you on
I'll
that.
let you get. Yeah, we'll let you gather that because I think with that learning curve is it puts a lot of people to an uncomfortable state.
Yeah.
You know, so as you're learning and you're kind of getting diversified into different things, you get uncomfortable. You get into a situation where you're like, dang, dude, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Oh, I thought of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not so black and white, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're sales minded, you like things to be black and white, yes or no.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, you know, when you're learning about like rodent exclusion, for example, and doing a rodent estimate, you know, you can go out, quote, do the exclusion, do the monitoring, and have success. I can go out and do something completely different and also yield the same results. Mm-hmm. That was frustrating at first, right? Because I had to realize it's so different and situational based on the circumstances and the skill set, and that's okay.
Yep.
And I had to learn that was okay. You know, and I had to gain the confidence to not always say, hey, I'm doing it this way, even though you did it that way, but I think it's going to work. It's like, no, I know it's going to work, you know, just based on what I'm looking at in my experience, you know?
Well, and that is the thing when you get into, well, pest control is just as a whole, you know, because we could jump in. I mean, there's so much we could dive into that because taking care of rodents, you know, with experience, and hopefully you're learning from some of the failures, you know, that you're going through, but there's so many ways to take care of, so, you know, just a simple rodent
Or an ant,
you know, and it's not that it's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, there may be a right way and it works, but that doesn't mean there's not another way that's still going to work. Mm-hmm. You know, so you do have to find out kind of what works for you and your company. Now that is going to be another uncomfortable thing because you could come in and create a program for trapping rodents, and then you get an experienced tech that comes in and says, hey, well, at my other company or in my experience, I've done it this way.
Yeah.
Right? But who's right and who's wrong?
Maybe both. Maybe neither.
Both. Yeah, exactly. Right. So that's where you are going to have that, and that's going to be a con that you're going to have to face. Mm-hmm. Going past the, you know, being uncomfortable in those situations. One thing that we had to do here, and I've seen a lot of companies kind of lose out on certain things, is the stability of growth. Is just because you switched up, or a lot of companies, what they'll do is they're like, dude, bird work, you get so much money, right? Yep. You can do a $10,000 job, a $20,000 job. Like, whoa, like that's huge, but it's not reoccurring and it's a one-off. Mm-hmm. But then they start saying, well, if I just focus on that, who cares about pest control? So then they start going off of one, and they're not actually diversifying and building different parts of their company. Yeah. They're staying very single-minded still. They just moved from pest control now to birds, and that's it. And so you have to be careful about that when you are getting in to other, you know, sections of the pest control world, is where, you know, where's your focus? Mm-hmm. Keeping your overall, which actually brings into the next point, is the stability of growth, is where are you focusing? Yeah. You know, your goal is here, but remember, across the board, you've now added in those additional services. You need to help that all stay stable, which is very difficult. And that's going to be a con.
Yeah, I can see that such a quick, slippery slope. Like, imagine we landed, like, you know, a few like $10,000 like bird exclusion jobs. Mm-hmm. And then if we weren't thinking ahead and we were just like, oh my God, we need to hire like 3 techs. We need to buy like 4 trucks. We need to do this. And then what if it dies for a year?
Exactly.
Then what?
Yep.
You see it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. You see it a ton. Well, and that's why a lot of businesses fail. Mm-hmm. They stretch themselves too thin, and they allow themselves to get too diverse, that they allow themselves to essentially go under because they have now too much, or they brought on too many. Sure. And they didn't get rid of them fast enough or eliminate those expenses quick enough. That's why, you know, and I have an experience in my family, but that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. He started looking at one thing. And what he's done is every time something new came up that made him a little bit more money in that section of the industry, he completely let the other section die.
Yikes.
Or fall down because he didn't care. Instead of saying, hey, this is actually producing me $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. Let's keep that running. Mm-hmm. Someone needs to focus on it and keep that growth there.
Yeah.
I'm going to focus here because we're going to make more money here. But we're going to create something here, grow it to 1 million because it's easier because we're making more money. Now we're producing 1.4 million. Mm-hmm. Oh, but now we can do this whole section of the business and that's going to produce us 10 million.
Yeah.
Well, now you're doing 11.4 million, right? Or you could let everything die and now you're just doing 10 million.
Yeah.
You're making more money. You are growing. It's, you're keeping it there, but you could keep everything running at the same time. Mm-hmm. And over the years, as you start to grow, your pest control side could be doing a ton, but now your bed bug side could be doing a ton as well.
Yeah.
And your cockroach side could be doing a ton as well. Mm-hmm. And your rodents could be doing so much more, so that is so hard. And that's going to be a con because people don't know how to sit there and focus on multiple things and having it all rise up together. Mm-hmm. And then another big one, it's going to be hiring good people.
That's a huge one.
It's really hard because you get people in here that want to say, well, I just want to run a residential route. Mm-hmm. Well, that goes against being diverse in all levels. I mean, it's good to have that person, but now if you're small and you try to diversify too much, that person's not going to be able to do that.
No, we've seen it. People leave.
Oh yeah. Well, and they can't handle it either. Right. Cause it's like, well, I'm uncomfortable because I don't know exactly how, or I don't know what to do, or I don't like rodents, so I don't want to do that, so you having on that person that's very picky in what they want to do and what they don't want to do is going to hinder that diversification. Yeah. And you won't be able to do it. So you got to be very careful on hiring that person that's going to be that diverse person.
Sure.
Or by the time you're big enough, it doesn't matter. You just hire that person to do that one thing and then you don't have to worry about them.
Yeah. That was going to be my point too. Cause it's like, you run into somebody like that, it's not always, oh, we have to get rid of them. It's like, okay, if they're not going to help us grow, where can we fit them in that way they can excel and still be productive, right? Obviously, we want open-minded diversification and, you know what I mean, across the board.
Yes.
But you hire somebody on 2-3 years down the road, you find out, hey, maybe they acted like it, but really they're not. Mm-hmm. So what now,
Yeah, no. And honestly, and you do see that, a ton because and I guess we'll move from that. I'll jump to the pro because I do want to get into the pro side of that is the pro side. And this is why I say that it's easy success. And it's not easy because there is a lot of stuff there, but I think it's easy on the side of it's a consistent growth because of the money. Mm-hmm. Because if you can go out to a home and not only are you going to spray it, but now you're going to be doing the rodent exclusion work and the trapping. Oh, and by the way, they happen to get cockroaches. Oh, and by the way, they happen to get bed bugs. And you're that one-stop shop, which goes right in with the money. And the next point is you can pull every dollar from that customer that they possibly have, that they would spend on pest control because you do it all.
Yeah.
That's the idea of Walmart. Why do you think they have electronics in the back? Mm-hmm. They know they can't necessarily compete with Best Buy, but if we can at least sell a majority of what Best Buy could sell at a discounted rate, I'm going to get your money.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go into the back, you're going to buy your headphones, you're going to buy whatever electronics you need, plus your groceries, which there we go. If you have a grocery store here, Rayleigh's, Bel Air, whatever, you just push them to the side because they're very single-minded. It's we sell groceries. That's it. Mm-hmm. They just took you for everything. You can get clothes here. You can get furniture here. You can get electronics here. You can get so many different things, which then puts them up to the top. Mm-hmm. You can go to one store and buy it all, right? You can go to one pest control company and get it all done. I don't need multiple companies.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. But there's so much there. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're seeing it here. Is I took over a company a year and a half ago and we literally added 100, probably to 150,000 to the bottom line like that.
Instantly.
I mean, instantly, because we just added on the services that we were already doing that they never did.
Yeah.
And we literally grew their business. I mean, overnight.
Mm-hmm.
We added on tens of thousands of dollars just literally overnight that first month we took them over, because we could start doing those things.
Yeah.
And they were getting phone calls and they were turning that stuff down. I was in their office when they were getting these phone calls. And I'm like, wow, what are you doing? Don't tell them no.
Yeah.
Like, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I have the knowledge. I have the guys. I have everything we need to do that. Stop saying no. But they were just like, no, sorry, we can't. You got to call someone else.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Painful.
Yeah. And so there is that, there is that pro there for being that one-stop shop. The other thing I do want to say, because we are looking at getting closer to this, is recessions.
Mm-hmm.
Pest control companies, and I won't say all of them, are pretty recession proof if you build it correctly. We have a prime example, and I didn't know this about this company until the guy went there, is they lost literally everybody in 2008. Why do you think that was? I'm asking you. Why do you think that was, that they lost everybody in 2008?
They were only doing houses.
Yeah.
And if the banks aren't going to pay for pest control, you're not going to get paid to go out and do it.
Yeah.
You know,
a homeowner loses their house. Bank doesn't care.
Yeah.
Okay. Cancel everything, turn power off. We're saving our money until we can sell this house.
Yep.
That's it. And then once we can sell off this asset, then we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next homeowner can figure it out.
Yeah.
And they lost their ass on everything. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the number. I don't know if you remember how many trucks they had, like 40 or 20 or something like that.
So, yeah.
And now they're down to 6 or 5 or even less. Who knows how many they're really
actually running. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how many are actually running, but you went from that size to nothing overnight, and that's a scary.
What did you learn?
And that would be my question is, what did you learn? And obviously nothing, because he didn't come back from that.
Yeah.
And 2008, 2023, do the math.
Yeah.
We're looking at almost 2 decades later and you still haven't come back from that. We haven't been in that recession for a long time. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was done years and years ago.
Yeah.
So you still didn't come out of that. You didn't learn anything. But the pro, let me hit the pro. Sorry, that was a negative.
It's okay.
But to become recession proof is, what are you focusing on? Because if they diversified their company and they were taking care of multiple insects or multiple different types of restaurants, businesses, apartment complexes, guess what? Your residential side dropped, but your commercial side didn't. So you lose a little bit over here, but you still have this going.
Exactly.
That didn't go away. And some of these houses that were probably just junked and had rodents and had massive infestations, those banks actually might pay you to come out and take care of it before they sell it off. Mm-hmm. Because they may want to say, hey, look, this is a nice home. They just have a rodent infestation. Let's get someone over here to actually get it.
Right.
And now you can put your sticker in their garage, and guess who the new homeowner is going to call? You.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot of opportunity, but most people looked at that. But being that diverse can get you to the point of being, essentially recession proof. Yeah. And you're not going to lose. That's a big secret between Warren Buffett and these guys who are, are in the stock world, is they diversify their stocks and their portfolio. And the reason is because they know different times of the year, we're in mini recessions all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. It just depends on what industry you're in. Mm-hmm. You could have been 2020. That's the restaurant recession, right? That was like when restaurants were dying.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean, it dipped in that, in that time, and then it came back out. And now the housing market is looking like it's dipping down, right? It may be in a little mini recession. It's probably going to come back out eventually.
Yeah.
But as you diversify your money, you're protected when those things go down.
Mm-hmm.
And when something goes down, something goes up. That's the other thing.
Always. That's true.
You know, so you may have lost money on the restaurant side of things, but your commodities like grocery stores may have skyrocketed because people still have to eat. They're just not eating out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so now if you had money in both, one's going to drop, one's going to skyrocket. Right. So that's the idea of even when you're going in and diversifying in the pest control industry is look at where you can put those eggs.
Yeah.
And don't put them all in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
Your one big basket's pest control. Now start separating those into different categories of pest control.
Yeah. That's a good point too. And what's cool is like, we're just looking at it from like your standpoint, like running a company, right? But even in the pest control world, this can be applied to so many different things. Like on the sales side for me, right? Imagine if all I did was sit in the office and cold call.
Yeah.
I'd probably get a good amount of people, you know, with my like knowledge and skills on sales, but why wouldn't I go out and make these contacts to apartment complexes or residencies? Why wouldn't I use online marketing, you know, like the email blasts that we do?
Yep.
It's like there's so much on the table when you're one dimensional. And again, it's like you can apply this to like even in the tech world, you know, it's like your ant treatments. If all you did was, you know, just do like a residual treatment every single time and you know, you'd call back after call back and things aren't working. It's like, what are you going to do differently? What did you learn?
Yeah. And that is, it's marketing. You could look at it that way.
Yeah.
You could look at it as office staff, you know, and what they're doing and what they're not doing.
Yeah.
And a guy actually, he had a really good analogy and it was for marketing, but this goes for it, you know, is you have a company and the more legs that you put underneath the table, the more stable it's going to be. Right. Because if I knocked away the residential table, the residential leg from us, we'd still stand. Maybe a little wobbly, but we're still going to be standing.
True.
It's not going to crush us. It's not going to destroy us. You know, so that's what it is you get more consistency.
I see.
Because the second a wildfire comes through, you know, and it happens here in California, we have fires. We had a fire up in the area where I purchased the other company. And it went through and it literally destroyed a couple houses.
Yeah.
But guess what? In that area, we only had a handful of houses. And majority of the other houses were all spread out through the county. Well, the fire's not going to wipe out the entire county. It could. It didn't. And most likely it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the government would send in everything they possibly had if it was going to wipe out that many houses and businesses. But that's the thing is, are you only in that one singular area too? Because if something happens there, a natural disaster, you're done. Your business is gone.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. You know, but we're diverse in those things. It's same with Walmart, same with Amazon, same with any of these companies. One could fall, but it's not detrimental.
No.
They're not losing everything. You know, they may take a dip, but they don't lose everything.
Yeah.
So you get more consistency out of it.
Definitely.
So you may have a month that goes down, but you're still consistent. You're still there. It's still making money. It doesn't drop down to zero.
Yeah.
But now now it comes to the question of how do you execute that?
That's a good point. Because what does that diversity even mean? Does that mean trying a million things and seeing what works?
Yeah. I mean, and it could.
It could. It could. I mean, we were talking before the episode, you know, you meet those people who are, you know, like real estate agents and photographers and influencers and this and that. And like the way that we've been diversifying is effective because we're all in, right? And we do our best to be impeccable when we take on something new, right? Like we're trying some new exclusion methods. I think we talked about it on a couple episodes ago, but we're thorough. We're doing our research. We're upfront, right? If we don't know, we admit we don't know, and we try to work around that.
Yeah.
You know, and again, impeccable doesn't mean perfect, because that'll cause you to hesitate and not act, and inaction is going to make you even worse off than you were before.
Yes.
You know, so I think actually going out and taking action with intent is the most important thing with this.
And I'm glad that you did say that, because execution, when you're getting into something new or you're getting into the diversity of the pest control world, the problem that a lot of guys have is they end up thinking too much into it. I had my brother-in-law, he was going to do his own like little car cleaning company. And he went out and he's like, well, I don't want to start it yet because I want to get my business cards. I want to get the logo. I want to get the name. I want to get this and that. And I want everything so perfect and blah, 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 blah. They end up losing themselves in the details instead of the work.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are getting in and you're stepping into something new, there's so many programs out there that will help you and teach you to pretty much what you need to do and how you need to do it.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Mm-hmm. Don't get tied up in these tiny little details of, I'm going to get into rodent exclusion. Well, but like what spray foam or material should I use? What glue, what silicone, what caulk, what wood, like stop getting into that. Hit that problem when it arises in that situation. You may go out to, your first rodent estimate, and it could literally be just putting on a door sweep, but you blew you were so stressed about what wood you may need to use or what metal you're going to use in that situation that you overcomplicated it and psyched yourself out.
Yeah.
When it literally was probably maybe even just trapping. Mm-hmm. And that was it. It wasn't even exclusion.
Yeah.
So you can't overthink that stuff when it comes to the execution part. Here, we don't care. And you know what I did? And some of the stuff that I've done when we started getting into it, mm-hmm. as crazy as it may sound or as stupid as it may sound, you know what I've done? I would tell customers, yeah, we'll call you right back. We're going to figure out the pricing and we'll let you know. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk to and I've done this. I'm literally the guy out there quoting the job. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm not the specialist in that area where the pricing comes in. I got to talk to him first, but we're going to send you an email with the pricing and we'll get back to you. Mm-hmm. That bought me 24 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Seriously? That bought me 24 hours. So within that 24 hours, I'm like, shit, what do I do? I'm starting to call everybody I know that may know something about ground squirrels.
Yeah.
I have no idea about ground squirrel. I've never done ground squirrel. I don't know. I have the license. Yeah. I can do it. I know nothing about them. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm calling everybody I can think of. What do I use? What kind of bait? What machine? What is it? We end up getting the Burrow RX in this mm-hmm. situation. And I said, okay, you know what? Call the guy back. The Burrow RX now is like $2,500.
Yeah.
It's a big expense for somebody. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to overprice this thing like crazy. If this guy says yes, guess what?
It paid for it.
We're going for it.
Yeah.
We're diving in. We're now adding this service.
Yeah.
If he says no, cool. He just saved me a ton of money and we don't have to worry about it. Well, the freaking guy said yes.
Of course he did.
And I'm like, son of a bitch. I got to figure this out now.
Yeah.
I have to literally dive into this freaking mm-hmm. whole new world of pest control.
Yeah.
But because of that, we added on like $50,000 because of it.
Yeah. Look how much opportunity that created out of nothing. Just a willingness to be vulnerable and just try something that you weren't really versed in.
Yeah. But and that it may be a personality too. Mm-hmm. It may be a personality trait is that excites me.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I know nothing about this. Mm-hmm. And so now it's my opportunity to learn and figure it out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's fun. Because now I'm doing something I know nothing about. Mm-hmm. I'm walking onto properties with my chest freaking puffed out like, we're going to do that. We're going to do this. Yeah. We're doing all that. And I'm taking the freaking millions of pictures. And I'm like, make the phone calls once you get off that property.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out, mm-hmm. But under that stress, you can create a diamond, right? You can create something really awesome. And we did.
Yeah.
And it worked out. But that's literally some of those things is how to execute. There's not a wrong way, in my mm-hmm. opinion, because some people execute on a high level and know nothing about it. Some people execute on a really crappy level or don't even execute and know nothing about it.
Yeah.
So it's really either or. It can work out.
No, I think that's a good point too. And I agree with you. I think it is a personality thing. because let's step away from pest control for a second. And let's say I want to go to the gym to lose weight. Oh, but I can't go if I don't get these new shoes. I got to have the shoes, right, for my training.
Yeah.
And I got to get the pre-workout and the protein, and I got to tuck my kid in, and I have to ask my dog, you know, and it's just like all these crazy things. And it's like, or this is a good one I used to hear all the time. It's like, how do I get more motivation to go? And it's like, you go.
You do it.
And you get momentum.
Yeah.
And the motivation will come with the action.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, seriously. It's like, how do I get more motivated? People would ask me that. And it blew my mind, but it made me realize that like, that's common. You know, it's so common out there. Just the lack of action, or the lack of wanting to take action.
And actually saying that, it's a funny story with the workout thing. And we'll come back, I promise. But I won't even say, because if they do listen, I don't want to say who it was, but someone I know went through that same thing, and it was like, well, I'm going to take testosterone boosters to get more motivation to go to the gym. And I even told him, I'm like, testosterone is not going to make you want to go to the gym. Even if you took steroids, that doesn't make you want to go to the gym. That's not going to give you this instant urge like, yes, I'm going to go work out.
Yeah, sorry, Charlie.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. If it worked that way, every guy would be literally going to the gym and working out and lifting weights.
Yeah.
We all have testosterone flowing through our veins, right? I mean, it's like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But that was just a funny thing, because he bought all these different test boosters, trying different ones in hopes that it would be like this miracle. And he was just suddenly going to be like, yes, like I got balls. I'm going to go to the gym now and do all this stuff. And it's like, dude, it doesn't work that way. Like, you have to find that motivation. And when it comes to executing, you know, in the pest control world on that new thing that you're going to get into, there is no motivation behind that. There is nothing that's going to magically flip that switch on. You just have to step into whatever that may be and get it done.
Yeah.
And actually, David Goggins talks about this a lot. There was a guy he was talking to, and, you know, they were talking, you have to, you know, what they do is they actually look at, what do I not want to do today? What am I scared of? What like fears me? Yeah. And they're like, that's what I do. You know, I just go do it. I don't want to make that phone call, so I make the phone call. I literally write out a list of everything that's uncomfortable and I don't want to do, and then they just go do it. You know, but you start building that habit behind it, where soon it's like, it doesn't even phase you, and you don't even think about, oh, look, there's something new. You know, it's like, let's just do it. We're just going to gut it, and we're going to do it. You know, and even speaking about that on the, you know, on the pest control side, even on the podcast side, you know, we're going to be coming out with videos, you know, spoiler alert for everybody. So we're stepping into the video realm. You know, we're going to start putting out all the, you know, more content, you know, for everybody, but that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I didn't study like videography. Like, I have no idea what that is.
No. But you know what we did? We set a launch date. Yeah. And we said, we need to figure it out.
And we're going to figure it out. You know, so it's going to be coming, guys. It's going to be cool. But it all comes down to that, is don't be scared to start something new. Don't be scared to be diverse. You know, dial in what you're good at, but then start stepping out of that, because you are going to grow so much because of it.
Yeah.
Or you can stay the same and do nothing, and that's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But someone who does step out of that is going to grow more than you and probably pass you. And don't ask the question, why them and not me?
Yeah, because it's going to happen every single time.
It's going to happen every single time. You know, and the last thing we wanted to talk about with kind of the diversification side of it is that can really be the key factor to set you apart. We've talked about it on past episodes, you know, and I could even ask you, Aaron, what can we use that nobody else can use in our industry? What is literally something we are the only ones, we have the exclusive right for to use, product wise, whatever?
Nothing.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Nothing at all.
Yeah. It's scary. It's terrifying. We literally have nothing that nobody else can get.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can get what we have, and I can get what everybody else has.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary.
Are you sure? Because I have a lot of customers saying, I don't know, the last company, they had better chemicals.
Yeah.
You know, you hear that kind of stuff.
You do hear that stuff, but it was how they sprayed.
Mm-hmm.
It's where they sprayed.
Yeah.
It was the education. What was setting them apart.
The monitoring. Yeah. The whole thing.
The whole thing. But it's diversifying in those areas,
Mm-hmm.
And we focus really, really heavy on, technician side, spraying side, getting into different, areas, but it goes along with even sales.
Yeah.
Are you just selling to residential homes, or are you selling to commercial properties now?
Yeah.
Are you stepping into that? Are you diversifying in that area?
Mm-hmm.
Are you diversifying in the office? Are you having your office staff doing different things, or are they just answering the phones?
Mm-hmm.
Are they making outbound calls? Are they learning sales skills? Are they diversifying in just their skills themselves of not just customer service, but now it's customer service with a sales focus?
Huge.
There's so much to it. So when we say diversification, and this whole episode, we talked about techs, but it really falls under everybody and everything. Even a tech.
Yeah.
You're a route tech. Okay. We just had, we had episodes in the past with guys and they're telling us their stories, but have you diversified your knowledge and understanding your equipment?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to work a B&G? Do you know your hand can? Do you know how to rebuild it? Do you know how to troubleshoot it when you're out in the field?
Mm-hmm.
Diversify.
Yeah.
Makes you more valuable. You do know how to do that. Great. Now, do you know how to do that with your backpack sprayer? Do you know how to do that with your reel and your tank and your filter? I have guys who are, like, oh, my thing's not working and the water's not coming out fast enough. And then I just go and unscrew a filter and I clean it out and we put it back on and it worked perfect.
Whoa. You're a genius.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, is that easy? Yeah, it's that easy. You just didn't want to learn. You didn't diversify. You didn't learn new things, so it can really go across the board on every level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So was there anything else we wanted to hit on that? I think I hit everything, right?
No, we went through pros, cons, diversity, keeping it simple, how it relates to the office, the techs, the sales. I think we covered everything.
Yeah. So, keep that in mind when you guys are going through, these weeks. Is what do you know and what do you not know? Mm-hmm. And really write a list down of things you don't know and start to dive into those things.
Yeah.
You have free time. Mm-hmm. I'm diving into cameras.
Yeah.
I spent hours looking up cameras and videos and things like that and really trying to figure out how to make this thing work. Mm-hmm. So we're lifting the skirt. You're looking underneath the skirt right now, guys.
Yeah.
You know our weaknesses, but it's to let you know that there's a possibility in everything you're doing. Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid to jump into something new and different because somebody has to. Someone needs to. And it can either be you or somebody else.
Yep.
And if it's that somebody else, don't hold a grudge against that person for having success.
Seriously, it's going to happen either way.
Yeah, it is. It will happen. Someone's going to do that. But remember, guys, leave a review for us. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you're thinking of the podcast. If you have any questions, we are going to have a Q&A segment. We want to do it on a monthly basis. So please send in your questions so that we can come out and give you guys answers. If you don't want us to say your name, that's okay. We don't have to. We can keep it hush-hush, but please send us your questions so we can actually go through and answer what we think. It may not be right, may not be wrong.
Either way, we'd love to hear from you.
We'd love to hear from you. You can get a hold of us on Instagram at DNA Pest Podcast. You can get a hold of us on our email at dnapestpodcast@gmail.com and the website DNA Pest Podcast. Okay, so you can go in there. You can actually hit, if you want to be a guest, you can DM us on Instagram. We throw out stories and post all the time about that. But also on our website, there is a section where you can actually send us your info, and we'll reach out to you that way as well. But thank you for listening to the DNA Pest Control Podcast.